then to the vision of the New Sudan as a method of struggle. We have presented this vision as both a strategy, method, tactics of a struggle. It is said that a person without vision gropes in the dark. This is, of course, literally true of a blind man or woman. It is also true for a liberation movement. A liberation movement must have a clear vision, clear objectives, and concrete strategies, programs, and tactics for achieving those objectives. These concepts are interrelated, and sometimes the dividing line between vision, strategy, and tactics is very thin. This is why some people get confused between the New Sudan as a vision and as a method of a struggle, because it combines all these aspects, i.e. it is a vision, it is an objective, and it is a method of a struggle. It is important in this context to appreciate the difference and relation between the global long-term objective of the New Sudan and the particular short-term objective of confederation and self-determination leading to a continued confederate union and its development into the New Sudan or independence. It is also important to appreciate the concept of the New Sudan as a vision as well as a method of a struggle for achieving self-determination that leads either to the New Sudan or to independence. I have already talked about the New Sudan as a vision, and so I would like to cover here the New Sudan as a method for achieving peace and self-determination. So let me come down to earth, from the theoretical to the practical. In the peace process, we have articulated 3 tracks. Talata Mahwi. 3 tracks for achieving peace and self-determination. Track one is negotiations with achieving peace and self-determination through negotiations with the government of the day. Track 2 is the modality of the NDA. Track 3 is peace through development. I would briefly elaborate on these 3. Track 1, negotiations with the government of the day. This is what we have been doing all the time in Abuja 1, Abuja 2, now in IGAD, in the Libyan-Egyptian initiative, or Egyptian-Libyan initiative, it depends where you are. If you are in Tripoli, it is Libyan-Egyptian initiative, and if you are in Egypt, it is Egyptian-Libyan initiative. In any case, it is the same initiative. All this is track 1, trying to achieve peace through a negotiated political settlement. Under this track, we have the outstanding issues on this track are 4. We have the issue of religion and state. There's no agreement on this. Some people on this issue of religion and state will say that don't let us concentrate too much. It's okay. Let us not concentrate on the issue of religion and state. Let us postpone this until the exercise of the right of self-determination. And we say no. Life will not be frozen during the interim period. The outcome of the exercise of the right of self-determination in a referendum will actually depend on the form of governance during the interim period. And so we cannot postpone resolution of the issue of religion and state pending that time when you will exercise your right of self-determination, whenever it is. And so we say from day one, at the beginning of the interim period, المشكلة ده لازم يحلوا والحل بتاعنا ده هو confederalية. It is an immediate response to the insistence of the NIF that state and religion cannot be separated. You say, fine, then you have them in your constitution. That's, of course, unfair to some people in the north who do not want religion and state in the constitution. That's fine. I stand in solidarity with that view. But I will not be in the forefront. And I'm going to be firing in Mogadishu. And so that is one issue that is relevant, and that on which we have not agreed on track one, religion and state. The second point of disagreement on track one, negotiated political settlement, the right of self-determination. Although all sides give lip service to this issue, the government has signed the DOP of IGAD, we have signed it. Each side has a different interpretation of or the right of self-determination. To the government in Khartoum, they mean that Southerners are free to choose how to manage themselves, but within the parameters of an Islamic state. No other. For us, it means choice between union, some form of union like the Confederate Union, and the outcome of complete and total independence for the component parts of the country. But there is no agreement on this. The third issue on a negotiated political settlement is the issue of governance during the interim period. Hakumat Khartoum, they think that they will be the government during the interim period. And this cannot be. There must be a transitional government that includes all the parties, and in which the NIF is not necessarily the captain of the team. Well, that is an outstanding issue. The fourth outstanding issue is the issue of Abyei. It's a district in Kordofan where the Ngok Dinka are, and which is administratively part of Kordofan. Musir Shunufi Haktagir al-Musir. The other areas in which the SPLA is, that is in the Nuba Mountains and in southern Blue Nile. How do you handle these three areas? These are four issues that are unresolved on the first track, a negotiated political settlement. We will continue to negotiate on this track. But if we don't agree, if we don't reach a political settlement through a negotiated political arrangement, then what do? That brings me to track two. That is the NDA modality. To achieve peace and self-determination through the modality of the NDA, the National Democratic Alliance. And this is important. National Democratic Alliance in 1995 was rejuvenated. We issued the Asmara Declaration. And we are pursuing this track two, without prejudice to track one, without prejudice to negotiations. So the aim of the NDA in the Asmara Declaration of 1995 is removal of the NIF regime and its replacement by the government of the NDA. Some people say that we should negotiate with the NIF in the NDA. We have no problem with that, we are negotiating. But I believe that in the modality of the NDA, the NIF is too deformed to be reformed. It must be removed. It is difficult for the SPLM, SPLA, having its base in the south, to have the objective of removing the NIF without the rest of the Sudanese political forces. But if you bring the rest of the Sudanese political forces together with the SPLM, SPLA, then there is no argument that the NIF should be negotiated with. Through the NDA, the NIF lazim yamshi. And so we are doing everything in the NDA to bring all the political forces together. We have, for example, met twice and agreed with the Popular National Congress, المؤتمر الشعبي بتاع Dr. Hassan Turabi. Some of you may say, but that's all that we are. This all that will again. If you are going to have a new Sudan on the NDA track, it is our principal position in the movement that we must engage all the political forces in dialogue. Including the party of Dr. Hassan Turabi. Because if you take, well, let us take negotiations with Bashir, the government in Khartoum. You will agree with me that the NIF of Dr. Hassan Turabi and the NIF of Dr. Bashir are aspects of the same movement. The Fasail بتاع نفس الحركة. Why would I justify negotiating with Bashir in IGAD, in the Egyptian-Libyan initiative, and I have problems negotiating with, or having dialogue with Dr. Hassan Turabi? I cannot reconcile that contradiction in my mind. Is that the nafs al-haraka? As a matter of fact, the faction of Bashir is more dangerous to me as a freedom fighter than the faction of Dr. Hassan Turabi, because the faction of Bashir controls the apparatus of the state. They control the army, they control the security services. They are the ones killing me. Yet I negotiate with them. So, بناحية فكرية وعملية, it is incumbent on me to negotiate with both aspects of the NIF, the one in power and the one out of power. And if we can have dialogue with the ideologues, much the better. Because I would want somebody to convince me how Sudan can remain united under an Islamic constitution. And the best people who could do this are the people who have the ideology. And so dialogue with the PNC, in my view, is necessary and is useful. And we have been engaged with them, with the party of Dr. Hassan al-Turabi, and we will continue to engage them in dialogue. And if it becomes feasible to have alliance with them against the present regime, so be it, so that we continue to dialogue and work together, not only with them, but with all the political forces in the NDA, so as to bring down this regime and then sit down to agree on how to rule our country and on the new Sudanese political dispensation. On this same basis, we have also recently agreed and united with the Sudan Alliance Forces of Brigadier Abdulaziz Khalid. So the NDA is becoming stronger and stronger. We are collecting all the Sudanese political forces so that you have the regime on one side and you have the opposition on one side. ويكون ما في لخبطة في النص. So that's the modality of the NDA. We met in Massawa in the year 2000. We agreed on the charter of the new Sudan. And so through the modality of the NDA, you can achieve peace by removing the NIF regime, putting in its place a government of the NDA, and exercising the right of self-determination at the end of the interim period. Now, in terms of track 3, you can see how this can be done. You can, for example, well, I have, say, a program for the activation of the NDA, and we have been doing this since the Massawa Declaration in the year 2000. Achieving peace through track 3 by developing, track 2, by developing the NDA. One is to consolidate the NDA itself, so that we transform the NDA into a true and genuine vehicle for the achievement of the objectives of the new Sudan. So we transform that umbrella, and the component parts of the NDA, particularly the DUP, are working on this. The DUP is a major party in the NDA. They are committed to the charter for the new Sudan in Massawa and in all the NDA meetings. The other political forces also in the Tejamma will redouble their efforts in order to consolidate this structure and build it into a viable alternative for the NIF regime, something that Dr. Yagmacha talked about before. I'm convinced that the modality of the NDA, they are بديل لحكومة الجبهة الإسلامية. People are agreed that لازم يكون في change in Sudan, especially after September 11th events. And the NIF took advantage of these events to run after the Americans with the information about terrorism. ماشي مع أكثر من 300 ملف files وبجري وراهم فيها حاجة تانية انتم عاوزين. And only yesterday, America was the big devil in their eyes. The cool media بتوعهم. Now bigger حليف Now they are allies against international terrorism. Shiva wants that? So the NIF is trying to do the unthinkable. They are trying to present themselves as the alternative to themselves. This is precisely what they are doing. They must not be allowed to get away with this. Into that kind of organization that is seen by the Sudanese people and seen by the international community to be the real and true alternative to the NIF regime. And that's a challenge, lekum, to all the Sudanese, inside the Sudan and in diaspora. And in an organization called the NDA that has the potential to be built into an alternative for the NIF regime. So what is it that we need to do? عشان نحقق الهدف ده. One, I have said that we need the political structure itself, the NDA, to be transformed into this vehicle for achievement of the new Sudan. And I call upon you, those who are in diaspora here and elsewhere, to organize yourselves into NDA. عشان تساهموا, so that you contribute to the program of the NDA. To go beyond the NDA as an arithmetic sum of its component parts, DUP plus SPLM plus Communist Party plus Video Congress, that's an arithmetic sum. We want to transform the NDA to become an organic movement for the new Sudan. No other organization can do it. The DUP will not do it alone, the Communist Party will not do it alone, the Bija Congress will not do it alone, SAF will not do it alone. And so the agreement that we have just signed with SAF is a milestone because it helps in the consolidation of the NDA into an organic movement for the new Sudan. And some of you here and elsewhere can contribute to it. Further, that's one program that we need to work on, and it needs your contribution. It needs your contribution intellectually, it needs your contribution material. All these are possible if we become one organizational entity called the NDA. Second thing we will do, and we are doing, is to form an army of the NDA. And so we are putting all our military forces, the SPLA and other facilities, we are putting them into one army so that there is a unified military command for the NDA. Because we are not going to go to Khartoum with 7 or 8 flags. There will be flag wahid with the NDA and an NDA army. That we are doing and will continue to do. A third program we are doing is establishment of civil authority in the liberated areas as a nucleus for the formation of the new Sudan. That one we are also doing. We are establishing civil authority for the new Sudan, fil manatiq al-muharrara. And you are welcome. I'll talk about this shortly. Peace through development, that is track 3 but you are welcome to contribute to the development of our liberated areas. But I'm talking in the context of the NDA. The fourth element the fourth program of the NDA is development of the Intifada in Khartoum and other cities. The fifth program is convergence of the Intifada with the NDA Unified Army to bring about a decisive outcome in Khartoum, leading to the new Sudan. The sixth is the establishment of an interim transitional government of the NDA for the new Sudan to implement the transitional program, conduct the referendum on self-determination, and subsequently hold general elections. Finally, seventh program of the NDA is formation of a new army of the new Sudan, formed from units of the NDA Unified Army, the SPLA, and non-NIF elements of the present Sudanese army. They will benchmark into one army, an army for the new Sudan. Because if you are going to have a new Sudan, you must have an army that is consistent with the character of the new Sudan. If you are going to have an Islamic state, you must have an army that is consistent with the character of the Islamic State. And that is exactly what the NIF has been doing since 1989. The destruction of the Sudanese army and its replacement by the army of the NIF. And in a way, ironically, we have been allies with the NIF in doing this. The SPLA has been destroying the Sudanese army. The NIF has been destroying the Sudanese army. Not by agreement, by default. But what I'm saying here is that the Jesh Sudani, there are patriotic elements. Actually, the majority in the Sudanese army are patriotic elements, despite what the NIF has been doing over the last 13 years. For نحن في NDA وفي SPLA وفي الجيش السوداني, let us find a working modality where we come together to constitute one army for the new Sudan.